We got the guys back last night, and obviously there was disappointment. They wanted to win the game, and after we watched it on tape, we had really good effort. Baylor was a better team than we were Saturday night. They were running the ball effectively, and they were hitting their down the field throws, and we couldn't generate much offense in the second quarter when we needed to. We weren't as effective running the football. Nowhere near as effective as we needed to be, and they become pass defenders, and it's we hit our share of them, but it's difficult when you're not balanced. So we've put that game behind us. The attitude of the players is really good, and they practiced well last night. So obviously as a coaching staff, we're back to work and getting ready for Bedlam, and watch the tape and game planning, and we'll get the guys back over here and start into another week. There's a lot of excitement here about game day being on campus, and obviously it's a festive atmosphere when we have Bedlam, much less when the biggest show in college football comes to Stillwater. So we'll try to stay focused on the task at hand. The good news is everybody in the state will be excited about the game this week, and I can't imagine our players won't stay focused and prepare and play well on Saturday.
It is your 25th Bedlam game as a player and assistant as a head coach. Is it still, I don't know, you still get pumped for it?
Sure, but every game, and I have to be real honest with you, every game is big now. The last game wouldn't have been a big game if we had lost 2 or 3 before it. And so in the way college football is set up, each game is big, and then Bedlam ends up being a really big and important game regardless. I think that over the last, 6 or 8 years maybe, the Bedlam game has changed some because of the significance that's there. It's all right, it doesn't bother me anymore. Because of that, I think it's created a little more in the community and in the state. So it's always a fun week.
Mike, there's no denying that going into last year's Bedlam game and going into this year's Bedlam game is tremendously different.
Sure.
And so there's got to be some different emotions. I recognize last year was a big game because of the way it turned out. This year's a big game because of what you've done beforehand.
Right, and that's what I was saying to Bill, is that the advantage that you have in Bedlam is there's a lot of excitement and enthusiasm generated just because. And fortunately, over the last, 4 or 5 years, over the last 6 or 8, there's been a lot at stake with Bedlam, which has made it really more than it's been over the last 30 or 40 years.
You got a corporate sponsor now. You didn't have that 30 years ago.
Mike, a year ago y'all were struggling to run the ball going into Bedlam. You actually ran it pretty good in that game. But do you just go out this week again and try to figure out ways, new schemes, different stuff you can do to try to be able to run the ball a little bit better?
Not as much from a scheme standpoint, because you really have 2 days to prepare. It's unrealistic to change very much at this point in the season. You have more flexibility when you get into a postseason play, more opportunities. So we try to find ways that we think within a system that we can manage to stay somewhat balanced on offense.
You had 2 years where you're not running the ball like Oklahoma State typically runs it. How maddening is it to you for it to have been such a priority in the offseason and you're not getting the results that you hoped for?
Well, it's not frustrating, but it's just makes it more difficult to be successful on offense and generate points and yards and give our team a chance for success. So we can't change what's happened nor how we got to this point. We can only try to make it better in the future.
We're towards the end of the season. As far as your true freshmen go, would you say Zach Zeiner has been your most consistent one? I know he didn't have his best game last game, but as far as an overall standpoint.
Darian Daniels has played really well. Jeff Carr has been productive at times. And Zach has made some, but you said a true freshman, Zach redshirted.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
So, but we've gotten some good play at him. He actually played well in the last game.
Speaking of true freshmen, Mike, talk a little bit about McCleskey.
He's
gets
doing
better
well
every week.
He continues to bring a little bit more to the table, and we like to get him the ball because he's somewhat elusive and very fast. And we've had a good group. There's the group of them that played as freshmen. Magruder's made a few plays on special teams, and so we've gotten some mileage out of those guys. The good news is we're able to redshirt about 16 of them.
Presuming Baker Mayfield plays, what's your assessment of him and what he's done for them?
He's been really good. I was very impressed with Boykin, and Mayfield has been as elusive in my opinion and as productive as he has in the world that he's lived in just my opinion. He's made plays with his legs, his ability to run and keep drives going and move the chains and then move around and find guys open and throw it down the field. He's been a really good player.
Coach, going off of McCleskey and his performance, would you say his confidence has been growing lately in these past couple of weeks with him getting more involved, especially on offense?
Yeah, he's been confident since he showed up. He was further along than we thought when he arrived as a freshman, and then he never really blinked at being out there and being in live settings, and so his confidence has been pretty high since August.
You've had 2 seasons where you had a literal 50-50 balance, run and pass, and now you're 73% pass to run. Is there, when you say you want balance, are you being literal on 50-50, or is it just more to keep the defense guessing?
We had those years where we were 50-50, what was really pretty amazing. If you're in the 65-35, you can, for us, you feel better. 60-40 would be something that would make me feel really comfortable. We're not going to get to that point this year. That's something we'll have to continue to work on in the off season.
Senior night for 17 seniors. Relatively small number, not a huge number, but there's some good ones.
Sure. It's always hard to send those guys off. The good news with the classes that have moved out here in the last 4 or 5 years is they've won a lot of football games, and they've been very successful and have performed well in the classroom, and we think we're moving them on to a different part of their life where they're better prepared now than when they showed up. So it'll be fun. The good news is we get them again. We get postseason play, so we get to spend another month or so or however long it may be after this game.
Mike, the defense, is that more of a matter of the last 4 games, your defense has played nearly 400 plays. Is that more of a matter of fatigue this late in the year when they've had to be out there for so many plays?
I think the teams that we played are good. I knew Baylor was a good team, but they're fast. They're faster than I thought they were on tape. Maybe I just didn't watch enough of it on that side. But I would hate to not give credit where it's due, and they rushed the football, not flashy, but effectively, and then they had tremendous speed. And so I would think that there is some downfall with the plays that our defense has played in the last 3 or 4 weeks, but the teams that we're playing are pretty good on offense. The numbers that some of those guys have put up, the TCUs and the Techs, and then obviously Baylor. Combination of it, but those guys have been pretty good on offense.
It's been a while since you had a Thanksgiving week game. Do you do anything differently on a Thursday of Thanksgiving, or is it pretty much business as usual regardless of the holiday?
The routine will stay the same, except we'll move Thursday's schedule up 2 hours because they're not in school. And so we'll start a couple hours earlier, and they'll finish 2 hours earlier. But other than that, Friday's routine, Wednesday's routine will stay the same.
Safe to go home if they want to that night?
They have the flexibility to be with their family. We have so many guys from Texas that most of their family comes up here and they stay in hotels and cook, so on and so forth. And but we want them to be with their family, and then they have a scheduled time to come back on Fridays, just like if we were in school.
Speaking of family, you played in this series in an era where, if I'm not mistaken, your name ended up on the shoe of a certain OU linebacker as kind of a target. I don't know if you keep tabs on your guys at spring break, but a huge group from both teams spent spring break in Florida together last year. That's a different concept for me when I heard about it.
It's changed so much for these guys. It's the public and the people outside make it more than it really is for the players. They have a respect amongst themselves, and there was a group of 30 of them at spring break, and unfortunately I've seen some pictures and video of them together, and they're hanging out and goofing around and whatever it is that they do, and it's just a different generation. And it's not just Oklahoma State. Just look at any game on Saturday or watch the NFL. When an NFL game's over, it's like a family reunion. Everybody out there on the field, coaches hugging each other, players hugging each other, and then they go their own way and they get ready for the next game. And this rivalry is something that's fun for everybody. But for the players, obviously I don't know what Coach Stoops tells his guys, but we have to compete and get ready to play in this game. And it's a challenge versus their defense, their offense, and their special teams. And there'll be a lot of excitement involved, which is great for college football, but the players have a respect for each other, and they play the game.
Will you watch Baylor TCU on Friday?
I didn't know they played Friday. So now I'll get a chance to watch them. They play Friday night?
Yeah, I think 6:30.
Actually, that game.
Well, obviously we'll be with our players until a certain time, and then we'll get a chance to watch a little bit of that. Friday nights is a decent time for us. You'll have a little more free time than any other time of the week.
You've had game day here before. How important is that exposure to have, them broadcasting from campus on a Saturday morning?
You would have to ask the geniuses, Kevin and Gavin, what kind of a market value that is for this university. I'm going to guess several $1 million probably worth of free advertisement. And it's a great opportunity for the university and for our athletic department and our football team and everybody involved when essentially the biggest show comes to Stillwater. And so it's a big part of college football, and it's always fun to have them here.
Did you say geniuses? Just checking.
Does it? Those guys are really smart guys. If you didn't know it.
I don't know how much tape you've seen yet. Maybe a lot of it's crossover, but there's so many defenses in this league that are, for lack of a better word, non-traditional. And Oklahoma is, Mike Stoops has even kind of reinvented his scheme a little bit this year with that odd man front, loaded secondary. Can you talk a little bit about the various defenses you see in this league and maybe how OU's scheme stacks up?
Yeah, the three down that they're playing is really becoming more traditional across college football, in particular this league, with the style of offenses that we play with, and the speed and tempo and the type of athletes that allows you to put on the field. And so they've had this system for a while. It's a little different now than what it was, in our opinion. We could be wrong, but we see more of it now than we have, and I would think that number will continue to grow in this league.
Does it help that after a disappointing loss, you've got a game that has so much other excitement around it? Bedlam, senior night, the game day people. Those other items could help get them fired up.
Earlier we had talked about that and kind of went into depth on Bedlam takes care of anything that would have happened. I would like to think that our team has been prepared mentally for at any time it's a big win or a big or a disappointing loss. You have to get ready to go to work on Sunday, and I think they understand that. They were disappointed because they wanted to win, but their attitude at practice last night was good.
Game day has a lot of value when they come to your campus. You've seen firsthand the value that an Oklahoma State Bedlam win has on the program as a whole, the university as a whole. Got the stadium built to some extent, got that rolling, the momentum of that. So, I presume you still credit last year's Bedlam game for what's going on today.
Yeah, there's no question that for us finding a way to win that game and then winning the bowl jump-started this university in general, in our team, and a lot that goes on outside. And every one of them are important, and it would be really good for us to find a way to win this one. It'd be great for our organization and open up a lot of other doors for what may be out there at the end of the season.
I know you were still in the playoffs with Midwest City at that time, but were you in the stadium for the Ice Bowl as a recruiter or a visiting recruiter?
I was indoors watching the game.
You mean like at home or
in that building right there?
Or you in Gallagher?
I was in there as a recruit, and we were in that second level there, and I was sitting there watching the game. I was surprised they played it, to be honest with you, because nobody could stand up for the most part.
And the storm hit pretty good when you were driving up.
You know, it's funny, Bill, I don't remember that. I know that that was one of the few times that my mom and dad came with me, because most time they sent me by myself. And I don't remember driving up here for some reason, but I remember when I got here that I was surprised because everybody was kind of turning like this and nobody was really running.